The play, the one moment when execution, skill, spontaneity and a whole lot of magic can mix together to create a legend. Over the last 30 years there have been hundreds of incredible individual plays by Bengals players. We wanted to pinpoint the top 5. Everyone has an opinion. We have criteria. Through your responses and our own research, we chopped our calculation into 4 parts: 25% memorable, 25% impactful, 25% entertaining, 25% impossible. That left us with these: the top 5 Bengals plays of the last 30 years. This isn't about a list, though. This is about the story beyond the play. This is about learning the secrets behind the magician's most incredible act and the ensuing legacy that lives on in Cincinnati Bengals and NFL history. Sunday, November 16, 2003. Bengals Sports. Peter Warrick holds the ball aloft as he returns a punt for a TD in the fourth quarter. The Cincinnati Bengals defeated the previously unbeaten Kansas City Chiefs 24-19 at Paul Brown Stadium. The Bengals are now 5-5 and tied for the division lead with Baltimore. The Chiefs are now 9-1. Cincinnati Enquirer. Michael E. Keating. Mech photo. Michael E. Keating's play, -50 black. The situation, Bengals 4-5 lead 10-6 against undefeated Kansas City 9-0. Fourth quarter, 13:04 remaining. More than a decade of debacle finally saw a glimmer of hope with Marvin Lewis' arrival in the 2003. It started like nearly every year did during the dreadful 1990s, losing 3 of the first 4 and facing an uphill battle before the leaves turned. But midway through the year, something changed in Cincinnati. They would win 3 of 4, all at home, and the jungle heard the Types' roars silenced since Sam Warrick left. There was hope. Now, there had been hope before. It was typically squashed upon arrival. But this hope came from a new coach and a new energy. With the undefeated, 9-0, Kansas City Chiefs coming to Paul Brown Stadium, Chad Johnson issued a guarantee his upstart Bengals would pull the upset. His bold claim made waves, and his teammates needed to back up the talk. Peter Warrick did just that. With the Bengals clinging to a 10-6 advantage early in the fourth quarter, a 68-yard punt return for a 2-count set off a celebration that would re-establish Bengals' relevancy in the NFL after a decade-long disappearing act. This play wasn't as much about the impossibility or entertainment of the return. It was blocked ideally. Warrick made Kansas City's Lyle West miss after a design cut up the middle and was off to the races. There have been hundreds of punt returns for 2 counts in NFL history, and this was one of 16 in the 50 years of Bengals football. This play was about impact. This play was about a lasting memory. This play was about an epic celebration for tortured fans. This play was about a fresh, optimistic start for the franchise. The win started a club record streak of what would be 57 consecutive home sellouts. It helped this team and franchise that had been going the wrong way for a long time, but it brought some justification to what we were doing. Then first-year special teams coordinator Darren Simmons said. Wide receiver Peter Warrick presents himself to the crowd following a post-game interview. Warrick ran a punt back for a TD and had a fourth-quarter TD reception. The Cincinnati Bengals defeated the previously unbeaten Kansas City Chiefs 24-19 at Paul Brown Stadium. The Bengals are now 5-5 and tied for the division lead with Baltimore. The Chiefs are now 9-1. Cincinnati Enquirer. Michael E. Keating. Mech photo. Michael E. Keating's Bengals would capture victories in 6 of 7 games during that midseason stretch. The most memorable was against the Chiefs and belonged to Warrick, who also caught a 77-yard bomb from John Kitna to put away the 24-19 victory. Warrick declined an interview for this story. He didn't want to talk about this play or his time in Cincinnati. He may not want to talk about that day, but Bengals fans still do 15 years later. The number 4 overall pick in the 2000 draft was maligned during much of his time with the Bengals and benched as the punt returner the year before for T.J. Houshmandzadeh. Inability to consistently create the same dynamic plays that highlighted his incredible career at Florida State were at the center of the criticism. He enjoyed a good, not great, career overall, but he never delivered on those lofty expectations during his 6-year career. But he will always have this day and this play. It was my time to shine, Warrick said after the game. It was the Peter Warrick game. The irony is the return nearly didn't happen. It was probably a little justification for Peter, said Simmons, who points out the Bengals were going against Dante Hall, who set the NFL record for returns for 2 counts in that year. When I first got here, Peter Warrick wasn't the punt returner. It was TJ. They'd fired Peter. Peter couldn't catch a ball. Or wouldn't he catch a ball? The year before in '02 and fumbled a lot. So, Peter and I worked hard that whole off-season catching balls, even through training camp, just about catching balls and making him the player he was coming out of Florida State. That was a culmination of a lot of that coming to the forefront where he could just go make a play. He made one that lands at number 3 in our list of the top 5 Bengals plays of the last 30 years.